If we were to look at business practices 20 years ago, cloud computing would be seen as a very strange one, using the storage, computational power, and networking of another organization would be seen as very strange and maybe not seen as very secure. But by today's standards, using cloud computing is fundamental for organizations to stay ahead and to scale efficiently. So we're going to be exploring the benefits of cloud computing for mobile service providers. Initially, we can see that cloud computing is cost efficient, meaning that for mobile service providers, instead of going from a prepayment method where they purchase all the hardware and the equipment, they can pay for it as they utilize it. And this means that they have additional revenue for implementing new technologies, such as implementing more cell sites for 5G. As 5G can operate at a higher frequency, it means more cell sites are required. And then we can see that scalability is an important benefit of cloud computing. We're allowed to scale up or tear down resources as they are required, meaning we're paying for exactly what we are using. And this is more cost efficient as well. And cloud computing provides us with enhanced automation. It allows us to patch vulnerabilities across a series of geographically dispersed services. And finally, it allows us to have a good disaster recovery plan in place. As this cloud computing service is geographically dispersed, if one service or one location was to go down, the other geographically dispersed services can take the weight and continue the service, meaning that as a mobile service provider, if one of these sites goes down, we can still provide the mobile service to users and customers. Before understanding the fundamentals of cloud security, we first need to explore the cloud service models that exist for customers, such as mobile service providers. So as a comparison, we're first going to be analysing on-site. On-site is a traditional IT infrastructure where the organisation itself runs everything that is seen within this list. So from networking, storage, servers, operating systems, all the way to the applications which are used. These are all ran, maintained, and torn down by traditional IT infrastructure, meaning it is within the organization that is utilizing it. And so the first cloud service model that we're going to be looking at is a IaaS, an infrastructure as a service. So as a cloud service customer, you'll be maintaining everything from the applications all the way down to the operating system. Everything underneath that, the metal, which it can be referred to, is the virtualization, the servers, the storage, and the networking is maintained and run by the cloud service providers, such as AWS. And if we want more of this service to be automated or maintained by the cloud service provider, we can explore platform as a service, where as a cloud service customer, you are only maintaining the applications and the data. Everything below that, from the runtime, the middleware, the operating system, all the way down to the networking and storage, is maintained by the cloud service provider. And finally, if you don't want to maintain any of this infrastructure, you can have software as a service, where everything from applications all the way down to networking is maintained by the cloud service provider. So within 5G, a range of these different services are utilized. We utilize infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service throughout the 5G core and 5G radio access network. So we've just explored the different cloud service models that exist. We've identified the level of control cloud service providers and cloud service customers have over infrastructure as a service, the platform as a service, and software as a service. As previously mentioned, there are different levels available to cloud service customers, and we'll go into more detail about them later on within this course. But on top of these different service models, we also have cloud deployment models. And the main three cloud deployment models are the public cloud, the private cloud, and the hybrid cloud. So if we have a look at the public cloud first, we can see there are many public cloud providers that exist. We have Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and the list goes on and on. And within this public cloud, it means there is a multi-tenancy environment, meaning other mobile service providers and other organizations can be utilizing the services within the cloud. And next, we can move on to a private cloud approach, where we can have, for example, two different companies. And these different companies can contact those cloud service providers previously mentioned, such as Google Cloud, and they can set up their own private cloud infrastructure. So this can be on-site within the organization, or it can be third party. It can be hosted externally, meaning it can be geographically dispersed. And so this allows companies to have their own private space on the cloud where services can be ran and it won't be interfered with by other companies or other organizations. And finally, we can have a look at the hybrid cloud approach, where a mobile service provider can use both public cloud and private cloud services. This may be because some public cloud services are not actually available within a private cloud domain, or it could mean that they have a private cloud domain to protect or to secure confidential data that they may not want on the public cloud. So we can have a private cloud for storing and maintaining very sensitive data, but we can use public cloud services still. And to extend on the hybrid cloud approach, we also have a multi-cloud approach, meaning that we can utilize different services from different cloud service providers. So we can utilize a service from AWS, we can utilize a similar service, or maybe even a completely different service from Google Cloud, and finally, as an example, we can utilize a service from Microsoft Azure. And so this helps prevent vendor lock-in, and this is entirely possible within a 5G cellular network. But complications can arise when using different services from different cloud service providers. So this needs to be taken into account if it was to be implemented, as it can be an argument that it could make systems more secure as you have an array of services in case one goes down or one is vulnerable, or it can mean that the system is more vulnerable as there are more attack vectors that exist. Now that we've identified the benefits and flexibility of cloud computing through the different service models and different deployment models, we also need to take into account the security challenges that may exist and the importance of cybersecurity. 85% of organizations that utilize the cloud have identified that cybersecurity is the biggest challenge. But if we have a look at the statistics presented on the screen, we can see that 72% of organizations have a cloud reliance. They're either upgrading previous traditional IT technologies to the cloud, or when they're developing new things, they're relying on cloud technology. So although cybersecurity is a concern, organizations are still utilizing the cloud. And this may be due to the fast time to market with new technologies putting them on the cloud, as we don't need to implement traditional IT infrastructure as it can cost a large amount of money. We have more money that's going towards development costs instead of hosting costs. Also, we can see that cloud-adapted technologies or applications are being utilized within the cloud. Organizations are pushing their traditional applications to the cloud. And 46% of organizations are utilizing a cloud-native approach, meaning they are creating applications that are ready for the cloud. So even if they wanted to go back to a traditional IT approach, they need to turn it back into a traditional IT application. In addition to this, we can see that the global cloud market is increasing steadily all the way to 2030 and onwards. So companies are relying on the cloud more, and its market share is increasing, meaning more organizations in the future will be relying on the cloud. This in combination means that from a cybersecurity perspective, this is an area of interest to protect and secure, as organizations' data, processing power, and their uptime are maintained within cloud computing. In addition to this, we can see that security is a top investment priority for organizations, with just over 30% identifying that it is the most important investment for them to make. So with all of this data in combination, we can see that there is a reliance on cloud computing, and this is going to continue into the future with more organizations joining this cloud computing approach. And we can also see that many organizations have identified that cybersecurity is a top investment.